So you've been home shopping for weeks or months. You already have your fully underwritten pre-approval because you follow this channel and you called my team, so you're not stressed about your loan. You found a house, you wrote an offer, and the seller accepted. Now what? Okay, you're gonna be a little scared at first. You might be terrified, excited. What do I do next? What do I do next is what I hear the most. And what's fun about this video is I actually had my offer accepted yesterday. Woo! I've been looking for so long, guys. I hate being a renter in Florida. It brings me nothing but dread and misery. So I'm super excited right now. So I'm gonna tell you guys what I did yesterday as a mortgage expert for the last 18 years, and also as a type A anxious home buyer. I'm telling you right now, I am not a chill home buyer at all. No, I'm type A, guys. If I could have bought this house and done a 10-day close, I would have, because I know how anxious I am and I just want it over. I also don't want it taking away from me doing my job. And that's what you want to think about too, is like, you don't want your job falling apart because you're dealing with all the house stuff. So being really efficient day one is going to make all the difference. Okay, so look, am I fully underwritten and pre-approved? Absolutely. I follow my own advice. And you're like, you're a lender. Like, Jen, all you do is qualify people. You know you qualify. Yeah, I know I qualify, but I wanted the fully underwritten pre-approval because A, I can't use my team, right? But more importantly, because one of the reasons my offer was accepted is because I had a fully underwritten pre-approval. Also, the lender's already told me I'm good. Even though I know I qualify, I'm anxious. Like, I need that extra hug. You know, there's just a lot of people like that, and I'm one of them. So anyways, okay, so I've already been fully underwritten, and I do think you guys should definitely be doing that. We do that. You don't get charged for it. Like, it makes a huge difference. So I find out from the agent that our offer's been accepted. It's like 7 in the morning. Love her. Sandy Miller in Jacksonville, everybody. A lot of you guys have worked with her, so, you know, high five to Sandy for finding us the house. Okay. So the first thing is, after I talk to her, I'm like, hey, when will I get the contract? You'll make sure it goes to the lender. Of course she will. But the reason why I said that, and it's something you should do, you should say, that's amazing. When will we have the contract? And are you sending it to our lender? Even if the realtor says they're sending it to your lender, you want a copy and you want to send it to them as well. And I say that because as a mortgage lender, guys, the amount of times that we have gotten a call from someone that's like, hey, why haven't you been calling me? I've been in contract for 2 weeks. And we're like, no one told us. No one told us. And then the agent's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I thought I had sent it to you, but now I see it's in my outbox. So when you get your offer accepted, you want a copy of it and you want to notify your lender immediately. That was my first step. So the first thing I did, I can't use my own team. I'm working with a great lender who I trust. I reached out, I said, hey, I'm in contract. And by the way, what are rates today? Because I want to discuss locking. Very important. Whenever you are in contract, that is when lenders will lock your rate. And it's funny because people are like, well, aren't you gonna shop her hard, Jen? No, I know she's a super good lender. Like, I don't, you know, could I potentially get a lower rate if I shopped her hard? Yeah, I could. But is it worth risking my transaction with someone who's not as talented? No. Like, this person I trust to get my loan through with zero stress. They're amazing. Their team's amazing. You know, could I have some newbie or someone who just gets fed by a bank be like, whoa, we could do it? And could they totally screw the pooch on my loan? Yeah, not worth it. So asked her about locking rates. And then what I did is I went in my portal. So depending on the lender that you're working with, she's also at guaranteed rate. So I went into my portal and I updated my documents. So if you've been fully underwritten already, if it's been a few months, they're gonna need updated pay stubs, updated bank statements. So I got all of that in there. And the reason I did that while I was waiting for her to get me rates is because I want my file to go to underwriting as quickly as possible, okay? Even though I'm fully underwritten. But as a buyer, I can tell you the reason you want to do this is because you don't want it dragging out for days, because it's just going to take you away from work or from your children. Whatever you're doing on a daily basis If you can do most of this the first day, it makes your life so much easier, okay? And if you're like, well, I'm at work, I can't do all this, okay, but try to knock it out as quickly as possible. So she sent over rates, and in my case, I did go with a 30-year fixed. I am doing a conventional mortgage. I'm not a veteran. If I was, I would be using VA. Are you kidding me? Such a better rate. But no, I'm doing a conventional mortgage. Did I look at a 7-year and a 10-year ARM? Yeah, I did. But here's why I went with a 30-year fixed. I went with a 30-year fixed because I don't like the risk of a 5 or 7. I don't want to have to refinance one day. I don't need the pressure in my life. It's just not worth it. Also, Florida is a slightly more expensive state to refinance in. If these rates had been so much better, maybe, but like 0.25%, it's not worth the potential downside that I've seen with these loans. So I locked a 30-year fixed. The next question people are likely to ask is, Jen, did you buy down the rate a lot? No, absolutely not. I did 0 points. 0 points. If you guys are unfamiliar with points are, go check out my other videos. But for people watching this video who are like, I want to buy down the lowest rate, guys, the math didn't work. And that's what people need to know, is that you can get seduced, with like a 5.5 rate. But if it takes 8 years for that to pay off in the environment we're in right now, would I do that? No. Here's the thing about refinancing. If I have to refinance out of an ARM because it's adjusting up, I don't want to deal with that. If I have to refinance out of a 30-year fixed because rates are 1% lower, I'm okay with that. So yeah, I did no points. Now what? Locked the rate, uploaded my documents, ordered the appraisal. That's right. I told the team, I said, guys, I need you to order this appraisal as a rush. And you're like, a rush? I'm anxious. I'm nervous. It doesn't matter how qualified I am. It doesn't matter how much I know about the process. It's who I am. And that's something you guys should be thinking about, is your personality type throughout the process. Now, if you're getting a conventional or an FHA loan, yes, the lender can rush the appraisal. Yes, it costs more money. If you're a veteran, I have tried, guys, for years to tell them to let us rush VA appraisals. They won't do it. So, tell your congressman, tell everybody that you want to allow VA rushes, but right now you can't. Okay, so I rushed my appraisal. I actually have a 30-day close, which is standard. A standard close is 30 days in most parts of the country. Would I have liked to do a 10-day close? Yes. Could I have? Sure. Sellers wouldn't have been able to move out by then. So I did a 30-day close. I ordered the appraisal as a rush, even though I didn't need to, because I want it over. I don't want to think about it. So I think that if you are doing a conventional or FHA loan and you are type A, kind of like, I don't know. It's usually like if you come from a background where you've seen some stuff that you're like financially, where you're like, yeah, I need it over. You can ask to do a rush. You just have to understand it does cost more money. So I don't know what this appraisal costs yet, but generally it's going to be $500 is your base appraisal, between $500 and $700. And then depending on where you are for the rush, it could be an extra $250 or $500. Now look, there are some parts of the country where appraisals are bonkers. They start out at $1,000. And if you're buying a more expensive house, they can get more expensive as well. But talk to your lender about that. And if we're your lender, just ask us, be like, hey, I'm super anxious. I want to rush the appraisal. Can you find out how much more it would be to rush it? We're happy to ask, guys. But please, my veterans, I love you, but you can't rush your files. I know. Okay, so appraisal ordered, loan locked, documents uploaded, what else? I wired my money to the escrow company. Now, here's something interesting. My agent, when she sent over the contract, she sent over a timeline that had all the parties. And I'm a professional, so I saw the escrow officer's email. So I actually reached out to them and said, hey, I need the wire instructions. I had the property address. I'm like, I just want to get this over with today, please. They emailed back wire instructions, but I had to call them to get the rest of the code, which is good. And I say that because wire fraud is one of the biggest issues in the housing industry. So if anybody ever sends you instructions to wire your earnest money deposit, you do want to call them to verify. Now, did I call that person from the phone number in their email? No. I went online, I looked up the business, I called the business to make sure it was legit, because the people who do wire fraud, they'll make it look like it will be even the title company's email. They'll have a phone number, but it will be different than the actual person, and they'll give you wire instructions that are going to, like, some foreign country where they're stealing your money. Okay, so I wired my money. And you're like, oh my God, do I have to wire the money the first day? No, not usually. That's something you want to talk to your agent about. So when you're writing your purchase contract, a part of that is how much do you want to put down for earnest money, and how quickly can you get it to escrow. She had wanted to put 5 days, and I was like, no, I can do 3. And then I just did it in 1 because, look, I've planned for this, I've budgeted for this, the money's sitting in an account, it's ready to go. And once again, I want to focus on work. I don't want to focus on this. So anyways, yes, I wired my money. Okay, locked the loan, did the docs, ordered the appraisal, wired the earnest money. What else? Okay, I got a homeowner's insurance quote. That's right. So while I was shopping, and I do work with Dwan at Rate Insurance, I recommend him to clients. Here's the thing. The people that I recommend are people I would use. And Dwan's been getting me quotes as I've been shopping everywhere in Florida, because Florida can be like, we looked at one house and I'm like, Dwan, like, what's the insurance? He's like $72,000. I was like, we're going to pass on that one. It was like Hurricane Central and it was basically in the water, but yeah. So I texted Dwan, I'm like, yeah, I'm in contract. And Dwan sent over a quote. Now, here's the thing. Why did I want that quote? Well, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't crazy and it wasn't going to be really expensive. So with this house, we actually hadn't had Dwan do a quote before we wrote the offer. It hit the market. Day 1, we wrote that offer. We didn't really have time. And I felt like I had a good ballpark figure. But I know it's important to get that insurance quote day 1, because if he had come back with $72,000, we would have said, hey, we got to cancel this contract. Okay, so Dwan got me my insurance. Oh, I should do a follow-up video to this. So right now it's Florida. Okay, it's Florida, guys. It's $13,500. Okay, I know it's Florida. It's Florida in an area that floods. So what's going to happen is once I get my 4-point inspection, and different states can have different inspections that you can do that can help get your insurance costs down. So once I get that inspection back, I'll send it to Dwan and we'll see if we can get a better deal. So I'll let you guys know what happens with that for sure. Okay, so I got my insurance quote. What else? I know, I'm telling you guys, this took like half my day. So just know that this takes time, and I'm a pro and it took half my day. So just assume it's going to take your whole day. Inspections. Yeah, we got to get the house inspected, friends. I'm not going to buy a house without an inspection. I did that in New York years ago, and if you followed me for a long time, you know that's a disaster. So inspections. What inspections does my loan require? None. Conventional FHA, they don't call out inspections. If you're doing a VA loan, you may have a pest, and if you're on a well and septic, you may have that. Conventional, the lender does not require any inspections. So you're like, well, do I really need them? Okay. I've been a lender for 18 years. I've bought multiple properties. I've remodeled multiple properties. Let me tell you the inspections I'm getting. And look, we had this in my contract. Like, I love the sellers because they know that I have an appraisal contingency. I have my inspection contingency. And they didn't try to mess with me on that. And I really like that about them, because I'm like, okay, like, you're confident your house is good. Great. Home inspection, obviously. The house has a pool. And yes, I did get a pool inspection. I bought a house in California years ago that has a pool, didn't get a pool inspection. Yeah, it's had a leak for like, let's see, I think I bought that in 2016. It's had a leak ever since. I've had multiple people out there. I've spent a fortune trying to fix it. No one can ever find it. Get a pool inspection if you're getting a pool, because if the equipment doesn't work, that can be expensive. But more importantly, if it's cracked, I'm not buying the house. No, I'm not, no. Okay, what else? Pest. Yeah, termite, you bet. I see so many termite reports with veterans, and look, people are like, oh, termite reports are so picky. They're not picky, you know, but I do want one because I remember in California, I had a client that was looking at a house that had wood boring beetles. Oh my God. If she had not gotten that pest report, she would have bought a money pit. It would have been a nightmare for her. So pest report, sorry guys, I got distracted. Mold. It's Florida. I'm not playing. I'm telling you right now, if you live in a humid state, get a mold report. It's not standard right now. It's not something that a lot of agents talk about, but I'm telling you as your friend here, get a mold report because I've gone through so many houses in Florida where I'm like, oh yeah, mold, 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 mold. It's like a mold like dance. It's horrible. So, and it's because like, think about it. If you're Louisiana, Florida, Georgia, anywhere where you get that real humidity, you can't guarantee that someone's like treated that house right for as long as they've had it, you know? So get a mold report. The mold report did come with two like room sensors, and it's supposed to cover 1,500 feet each, which definitely covers this house. I did add on extra ones though. Here's why. The roof on this house was replaced in 2025, and you're like, bingo, Beeston, you nailed it. I know, I'm excited. New roof, yes. But I don't know if it was a bad roof before and it was leaking in the house and if it caused any damage. So I'm gonna be getting some extra mold inspections just to make sure I'm crossing my T's and dotting my I's, because I've had clients where they got houses. The client that sticks with me the most, he might be watching this. We always used to talk about carpets. He hated carpets. Oh my God. Anyways, he was buying this house and it had a brand new roof, but the old one had been so bad, there was all this mold in the attic. And like it was black mold, and the seller's trying to close him on it. We're like, absolutely not. We had to do 2 separate air quality tests after they had remediated it to get it to clear. So if you have like, just, it doesn't hurt. So if you're watching this going, oh my God, save up for inspections, guys. If you're type A anxious like me, save up for inspections. And then we're also having an arborist come out. I mean, you're like, why? What is an arborist? It's a tree person. The house has some very big live oak trees. Anyone who knows trees is like, what are you doing? Live oak trees by the house. Live oak trees can have very deep roots. And my concern is, okay, A, is it hitting the foundation? B, is it hitting the pool? And C, the plumbing. That's right, the plumbing. So the arborist is going to go out. He can look at the trees to see which ones are healthy. You know, that's really what his job is. Are they healthy? How much are we going to spend pruning them? Because that's a cost people don't think about. If you're buying a house with really big trees, there can be really big costs if you want to keep them in a condition where Florida can get really windy, guys. I don't want a tree branch taking out my window while I'm filming a video. Yes, finally, this channel would get more views, but it's not the type of views I want, okay? And lastly, sewer scope inspection. That's right. I think everyone should be getting a sewer scope inspection as well. And you're like, why? It goes in the plumbing to see if anything's wrong. And especially when you've got older houses or houses with big trees, you should be getting it. But I know some of you guys are watching this going, well, if I get new construction, I don't need to do any of this. Oh no, you definitely probably should do more. I'm not even kidding. Like, new construction is scarier. Yeah, check out Sci-Fi Home Inspection, guys. It's a little terrifying right now. And I can tell you from my home buying journey, yeah, that's a separate video and I'll be doing it. It will be called Airbnb Taught Me to Never Trust a Builder. Okay? Not all builders are bad. So those are all the inspections we've got going on. Those are going to be happening in a few days. And you're like, okay, so did you have to pay for that up front? Yes. In this case, I did. I have seen with clients that sometimes the inspectors will get paid at closing, but usually for home inspections, they do want payment up front, and they do allow for credit cards. So I'm a big fan of putting everything on my credit card, paying it off, and gain those points so I can fly somewhere and be like, it's free. It's not. But yes, they did want payment up front. So just a heads up to you guys for that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't want to cut anything. No, that's it. That's it. Paid the home inspection. Sorry, guys. So look, it's been a little crazy. Oh, I'll do a different video on that. I'm not going to torture you guys all day, but that is what I would recommend that you do day one. Questions, comments, if you want to get fully underwritten, give us a call. We're happy to help you through this journey. I've got a great team that really cares about people, and we work for you. That's the important part. We don't work for the sellers. We don't work for the real estate agents. We work for you. 786-933-2077. I have so many more ideas because of this. I hope you guys find your dream house.